the whole
concede
thing.
elections. You know, the elections only count if we win theory of government.
Okay.
Well, come on, you know he still has not conceded the election. He has not conceded. He does not honor the...
Okay, I mean, do you know for a fact that he lost? I'm just curious.
Okay. You're going to make me...
I just don't know all the facts because...
Well, I do.
In this video, Bill Maher welcomes acclaimed director Oliver Stone onto his Club Random podcast. Bill Maher and his guests discuss tyrannical governments, and of course, Bill Maher has to bring up what a dictator Donald Trump is. With that, let's watch Oliver Stone wreck Bill Maher.
So it's the law, the concept of authoritarian government that is really bothering me, and I think it bothers you. This
authoritarian, yes, of course.
Biden saying,
well,
you know, we've got to take the vaccine, you know, and you have...
Yes, that's one form of it. I would say the form that Trump is threatening us with is even worse, and
which is what?
Well, I mean, he doesn't
the whole
concede
thing.
elections. You know, the elections only count if we win theory of government.
Okay.
Well, come on, you know he still has not conceded the election. He has not conceded. He does not honor the...
Okay, I mean, do you know for a fact that he lost? I'm just curious.
Okay. You're going to make me...
I just don't know all the facts because...
Well, I do. Is there a conspiracy theory you don't believe?
Oh, come on, Bill.
But Oliver...
You know I'm intelligent.
Intelligent? Of course you are. But look, I've had many people sit here and I've said the same thing to them. Like, the key to getting along in America is not getting into these tribal things. It's understanding that you can have somebody in your life who you go, for A, B, C, and D, we are so aligned, and the person is so smart, and they really get it. And then E, each of you thinks the other one's crazy. And there's a couple of those with us. But we got A, B, C, and D, and so
we'll start with that.
Yes, that's got to be enough. You can't make people agree with you on these things. And you're right.
I'm just asking you. I'm not an expert on the election. I'm not a political junkie. You are, and you follow it very closely.
Okay, all right. Then I'll give you the thumbnail sketch. They tried it in 60 courts. It was laughed out of every court, including by Republican judges. The people who saved this democracy were Republicans, good Republicans in states where Trump pressured them, like the one he's on trial for in Georgia. Find me a...
Despite what you may think if you listen to my videos regularly, I really make a concerted effort not to just say the same things over and over, because a lot of the topics overlap and I have my position on things, and commentary kind of in certain situations requires me to state my stance on something. So I hate different videos sounding identical, and I'm sure many do. But Bill Maher makes it really, really tough, because 2 out of 3 of every clip we watch from him, it's the identical argument. So I guess we'll get the cliff notes out of the way. Bill Maher thinks Donald Trump not conceding an election is the craziest, most authoritarian act in the history of the world. Even though power was transferred, no problem. And my stance is always, why isn't Donald Trump entitled to that opinion? And then obviously I have my opinions on the 2020 election. But what I want to point out here is Bill ruins his credibility very early into this discussion. Oliver Stone is genuinely asking him, why do you believe what you believe? And Bill gets all worked up, and you could tell Oliver Stone's being inquisitive and saying, I'm acknowledging I don't know the particulars as well as you do. Let me know. And he said something like, do you know all the facts? And Oliver Stone's like, no, I don't. And Bill says, well, I do. That negates any of his credibility right there. No, you don't. As a matter of fact, that's why I never definitively state I believe that this happened in the 2020 election. I have my suspicions. I have a lot of overwhelming data. I don't believe I can definitively say for sure that Donald Trump won that election. And I hope you'll give me some credit on this, because I think most people in this space will state the election was 100% stolen and blah, 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 blah. My point is, none of us know all the facts. So by Bill saying he knows all the facts, he's wrong. And that's why, just as much as I don't know, Bill doesn't know, what happened in the 2020 election, because you have to take into account every single instance of election interference, ballot harvesting, throwing away votes, Biden's 81 million votes, Hunter Biden laptop being suppressed. You have to look at all those things in their totality, look at the veracity of all the claims around those things, figure out what's true and what's not, and then say, okay, in totality, we can quantify how this affected the election. And had X, Y, and Z not happened that were types of election interference, Donald Trump would have won the election. I can't say that definitively, but Bill can't either. And it just irritates me. I think if you were forced to make a choice between was it stolen or was it not, I think the evidence is overwhelming that it was. But I don't know. And Bill doesn't either. And that's a huge character flaw of his. But I say flaw, and while I say flaw, it actually may have served him a lot in having success in business in his life and in the field that he's in. Sometimes those things can be beneficial, but overall, I think it's a flaw to think you know it all the time. He does the same thing with religion. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
11,000 votes. It's on tape. A guy like that saying to him, sir, we just don't do that here. I voted for you. I'm a Republican, but we just don't do that. That's what saved us. And they were Republicans. So you don't take their word for it. I mean, it would.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you went through the 2000 election. That was horrifying to me. What happened when the Supreme Court closed that down? You know, what happened there? I mean, you know, the popular vote was won
so
by...
what, should we just keep counting votes forever? I mean, should we still be counting the 20?
Count them correctly. Let's just get rid of the Electoral College. Let's do a popular vote.
The people who have testified that this was a fair and well-run election, it's a who's who of people like Bill Maher, Mitch McConnell. You're talking about Liz Cheney. You're talking about dyed-in-the-wool, serious conservative Republicans who went with Trump really further out than a lot of us thought they would go with a guy like McCain's not a war hero. Okay, we'll forgive you. Lots of shit that he did, agreeing with Putin at Helsinki against our intelligence agencies, but I know we don't want to talk about Putin. But it's like, what will they... We found the thing that was their safe word, the thing that made them go, no, that's too far. And it was, we have elections in this country. If we don't transfer power peacefully, if somebody doesn't just be an adult and say, okay, you can't win them all, we lost that one, good luck, sir. When Obama became president, George Bush stood with him and he said, we want you to succeed. They don't do that anymore. Not that I love George Bush, but what a great moment. So...
What do you think happened in 2000 in Florida?
2000, well, they stopped the vote. Well, first of all, the governor's, the candidate's brother was the governor. And the lady counting the votes, remember Cruella de Vil.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Catherine Harris.
I remembered the name wrong. Cruella de Vil, but you're right, Catherine Harris. I mean, could there have been shenanigans? Look, there was shenanigans in the Nixon-Kennedy election on the side of the Democrats.
Yeah,
I mean,
always.
Plainly, Joe Kennedy, right, brought that election for his son.
I reserve judgment because it was Chicago. It was the Illinois part more than the West Virginia part. And that was Daley, and he was the boss there. And Daley did his own policing and this. But actually, I think Kennedy won the election. I really don't. Wow. That one is it's tight. But what I'm saying is
the one that's the easiest to get on board with. You're like, no, that's I need all the facts on this.
Well, I don't know the facts, and I think I would trust the accountants more than the politicians. And I'd like to know what the accountants say, the guys who vote, who know the most about votes, who do the electoral commissions. You know, I can't take Biden's word for it on anything.
Ain't that the truth? Just a bit of advice for Bill Maher. When you're trying to convince us that Republicans support something, you might not want to use Mitch McConnell and Liz Cheney. They're not exactly the viewers' idols, I don't think, for the most part. But we want to hear from you. What did you guys think about this conversation between Oliver Stone and Bill Maher? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.